This evening, we have a packed full schedule, starting with the A-League match between the Eskimos and Tempest, following up with Mustangs versus the Lynx in Double-A, then a Triple-A match with the Tundra versus Thunder, and wrapping up the evening with a major match of Cobras versus Ducks. We are going to start today by talking about the A-League match between the Eskimos versus Tempest, and I am pleased to be joined by our analyst, Squintle. Hello, Squintle. How are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. All right. What can you tell us about this matchup between Eskimos and the Tempest?
Well, personally, I think it is going to be a pretty good matchup. Both of these teams are in the same division, which is that means it's a pretty important matchup because, they're battling for a playoff spot. Obviously, it's pretty early in the season, but everyone counts. Both teams also have the same record right now of 1-2.
That's right. Both have a losing record. The Eskimos are coming off a win here, as are the Tempest. Could that be a sign that both teams are turning things around?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that the Eskimos did right was go for the pickup on Fort, who did play in their win last week. So maybe he's a pretty key player in that new Eskimo starting lineup, and obviously because he helped him get the dub last week. And looking at the Tempest, it looks like they haven't played their sub PBZ Blaze, who is looking to be the top player on their roster. Although it does look like he's a European player, so that obviously could have some effect. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup.
All right. Well, looking at these two teams, they both seem like they have some interesting players here. Who do we watch out for during this match? Who's going to pique interest here as we watch?
I definitely think if we're gonna look at the Tempest lineup first, Tobes is definitely one to watch. He is leading his teams in goals, assists, and saves, all three categories. So clearly, he's their top player right now. And looking at the Eskimos, it's pretty even all around the board. Stacked is looking like a very good player overall. I did play him in a scrimmed once, and he was seeming like their best player. But obviously, I did not see them with Fort, and Fort came in there, helped him get the W. So I think Fort is also going to be one to look out for.
All right. Well, looking at their division here, Tempest obviously just came off a win over the Embers, which seems like a big deal. Who do you think comes out on top in this division?
In the division as a whole, I mean, all teams they're all fighting for their spot, all with losing records currently. But I think looking at from what I've seen so far, I believe that the Embers will snake out the top spot in this division as a whole.
Interesting. All right. Well, looking at this league in a larger picture, who's looking really strong? Who seems to be kind of disappointing based on where we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season?
I have two really good answers for that. The Titans are definitely going to be the team to look out for this season. They have a solid 3-0 record right now, and debatably the best two players in single A right now, Soars and Nitrots. Both with actually they have three players with an insane stat of a goal per game, and also almost a save per game, and Soars with an assist a game. And the team that, like people thought they were going to be a really good team coming into the season. I'm pretty sure they were number one in power rankings, if I'm correct, at the beginning of the preseason. The Cougars. The Cougars have Nova, who a lot of people argue with Soars and Trots to be one of the best players in single A, but coming out strong after the gate, it hasn't been so great for them. 1-2 record right now.
All right. Who do you think people are sleeping on right now? Who might suddenly strike as a team that's going to just suddenly climb up to the top?
That's a good question. The Cardinals are looking like a pretty strong team. Not a lot of people, looked at them that like a lot during the preseason. I think they were around 6 or 7 in the preseason, but they've come out strong with a 2-1 record. But yeah, I think they're definitely a team that could be a contender.
All right. Bring it back to this particular match. How does this particular match impact the rest of the league?
Well, that one's hard to answer because I feel like the Eskimos and the Tempest, both teams could get a lot of momentum from this win. And, that momentum could translate into their next few games, against the rest of the league. I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct, the Eskimos will be playing the Genesis again on Tuesday next week. So, if they get this one and then another one against a team they just beat, they could be looking pretty strong to go. What would that be? That'd be 3-2.
Yeah. And actually, looking at the Tempest schedule, they have a very similar schedule. They just came off a win over the Embers, and they're about to go play them again on Tuesday. So both teams, I think this could be a really big win for both of them going forward. All right. So have you spent much time watching each of these teams? And if you have, what have they done well?
The Eskimos, I want to say they're a team that my team played in the preseason, and they actually beat us in Game 5 in the preseason. And they're a team that likes to feed off pressure. They definitely like to keep them on your side. I noticed they were a little weak defensively, but that comes in turn with their offensive powerhouse strategy. So definitely make sure you get out of your own half with them. And then for the Tempest, I have not seen them play, but I have seen Topes play. He's a very solid player, not too mechanical, but he definitely is fast. And I have not seen Kylo play or Dragon play. But I feel like, if that's the team that Dragon chose, he thinks there's something that could be possible there. So, we got to have faith in him.
Right. And on the flip side of that, what are some of their flaws? What can the other team capitalize on that they're not doing so well on?
Like I said with the Eskimos, yeah, their defense isn't that strong. That is because of their offensive play. So if you can catch them out on a break, you might be able to get a few counter goals, 2 quick ones maybe. And the Tempest, I don't have that much info on them, but I feel like if you're a solid team, just making sure you get your consistent touches and you're scoring the open nets, anything that would win against a normal team, I feel like you can beat out this team.
All right. So we talked about how with each team winning here, they could get on some momentum. What happens to who loses? What impact does that have on them?
Whoever loses, obviously, everybody hates losing. Nobody enjoys losing. I feel like if you get down after a loss, it's gonna impact you a lot in your next game. You might not be so confident going into it. So for whatever team does lose, if they let that affect them, then that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna, get down about themselves, not play as well as they want to, and the effect takes toll.
All right. Trying to think of what else we could talk about here. Well, we're about 3 games in. Are there any teams that might be looking to make any sort of roster moves, perhaps? Sure, we're only 3 games in, and a lot can change between now and the trade deadline. But are there any teams that might be looking to shop around now?
I'm gonna have to go with the 2 0-3 teams, Genesis and Goals. It's honestly, maybe they like their roster, maybe they think they can change it. Oh, sorry, I forgot the Wranglers too. But the Wranglers, Genesis, and Goals all 0-3 right now. Clearly, something isn't working right for them. Maybe a roster change or two will help them out. I want to say though, the Wranglers did make a trade for Patient Fox. I believe he played in their last game, but they still unfortunately took a loss. But he might have been a play that could be helpful for them if they get their starting lineup back out there. And for the goals in Genesis, I don't know, but something's got to change for these two teams.
All right. On that note, who do you think comes? I got one last question for you. Who do you think wins the series and by how much?
This is a really hard one. I think this is probably going to be a very even matchup. I'm going to go with Eskimos are going to take it in 4.
All right, well, you heard it here first, straight from our analyst. Thank you very much, Squintle, for joining us. And on that note, start the hype because it is time. The match between the Eskimos and the Tempest is coming right up. I will see all you lovely people after the match. Good luck, have fun, and don't get toxic. All right, streamers, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rocket League Premier Circuit. My name is Quantum Deathcat, and I'm going to be met here with Titan on Fire. How are you, my guy?
I'm doing quite fine. I'm pretty excited for some A-League action. As the desk, mentioned, both these teams 1 and 2, so this is kind of their chance to take that step ahead and get into that middle of the pack where they really have anywhere to go with their season. And for the losing team, going down 1 and 3, it's not the worst, but it's not a spot that you really want to be in.
No, exactly, and it'll definitely not help your playoff chances, but there are 18 games in a season, and there's a lot of time on the clock here. There's a minimum of 15 minutes to be played, and I think you'll need to play every bit of those 15 minutes for your team to be competitive here.
Oh yeah, both these teams need to bring their A game here because this is where you kind of set yourself away from the rest of that pack that is falling below and, falling into that, that bottom half of your standings. You really need to say, yeah, no, we're here to play and we can, bring out the high level gameplay when we need to, as Blaze gets cut off from that shot. And doesn't look like we're gonna have too much action for the first minute. Some offense here for the Tempest, but it won't result in any goals.
It won't result in any goals for so far. It is still 0-0. Both teams still trying to figure out each other's limits. It seems like maybe they have some stream jitters going on here. Both teams don't want to go too offensive here. No risky plays being held whatsoever so far.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to see any, massive risks coming out game 1, because if you see a team that's, throwing up 3 players onto offense for no reason, it's not the best sign for their chances further on the series. So both these teams being very smart, just playing out this early game, seeing what they can do. This could be a shot, but it's just barely off.
Dragon Ball almost finds Soars, but he can't find him on the doorstep. Instead, it goes off the post and out. A minute and 30 seconds has been played, and both teams playing decently well. Both teams with a shot, but neither of them were on net. So it's starting off a little bit slowly here. And look at how tentative these players are. They're all in the net here. Well, they were all in the net for the Eskimos, right? All 3 players were practically there waiting to make the save. So we can't have triple commits on defense either. That's a bad idea to have had, because then no one's there to make passes intercepted. As you saw right there, the pass wasn't intercepted, but Blaze was way far too high and couldn't receive the pass properly.
Yeah, despite the fact that the Tempest have had a majority of the offensive possession here, surprisingly, the positioning just a little bit off for them. So they really haven't been able to turn in any of, they haven't been able to put any of the shots they would want to on net, any of the good passes that they've been looking for. But it's still a good sign that they are able to get onto this offense. Turnsy seeing what he can do. That's going to be a whiff on the defensive end from Blaze. And it's going to be the Eskimos striking first.
And Turnsy with a nice shot here right off of his hood, and Blaze, last man back, just barely misses it. And it's a 1-0 game, just barely halfway past our halfway mark.
Yeah, and it feels bad, man, for the Tempest, because, they had a lot of good chances there to score. They had lots of very nice passes. They were looking for each other, but they just got caught up in another one. No one finds the touch off the off the sidebar. And a 2-0 lead in about 30 seconds.
Oh, look at that. Soars and Dragon Balls here. They both go for that ball around the corner. They bump into each other. Dragon Balls tries to go up into the ceiling of the net. Meanwhile, Soares is just out of the play completely in no man's land, doesn't know where to go, and well, that's the widest open net you could ever hope for.
And for the Tempest here, a disastrous series of events as suddenly what was looking like a very passive and even game has turned into a 2-goal deficit for them. And while they had a majority of possession in the blue half for that first half or so, I think the Eskimos, when you're looking at right now, are just playing the better passive game here. Their touches are just a little bit more consistent, and those defensive mistakes, while they were bunching up 3 players in net, it wasn't resulting in any, they weren't whiffing, they weren't missing the ball and forcing their teammates into awkward positions.
It came between, it came between 2 players, and they were able to make the save, they were able to make the clear, and so that was very important for them to be able to do so. And Eskimos were able to get that ball out, just like right now they're completely stopping this offense, getting the save, and then getting the clear. No sweats whatsoever. 69 seconds left on the clock here. What can Tempest do?
Well, that's gonna be... Yeah, I guess that's what they can do. They can be gifted an open net. The third man here, very aggressive challenge. Doesn't get the touch.
Oh no, your teammate goes for it. That's just a missed call there. I don't know if that's Turnsy's fault or if that was Stack's fault, because Stack went for that ball, all right, and maybe he just didn't call it out. But whatever the case may be, they both went for it. The double commit costs them 1 goal. They still have the lead, but they need to find something more. Tempest now trying to pass in the front. Blaze can't find a teammate. Soares going back into his zone. Can't get the clear though, but he does make one miss that ball. The ball is going to be cleared out and taken into the Titans zone here. Titans. What am I talking about? Tempest's zone, but now it's back into Eskimo territory. Blaze with a shot. It is saved by the crossbar, and Zizos there up in the air, having to put it down. That shot's on net. No, it's not. It's off the post, but Dragon Balls, he puts it in. After hitting the post twice this game so far, he finally puts one into the back of the net, and that must be very relieving. But for Blaze, that shot could have gone in, but it's good that it did find it at the back of the net at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it took them about 4 minutes to finally break through that defense from the Eskimos, but eventually, we saw the double commit, the third man rotation not there, and there again, we saw the third man at the close post, which wasn't terrible positioning, but he was also outside of the net. He was backwards comparative to where the shot would be going. So just a little bit of a mistake there by the third man in both occasions, and that results in a tied up game with 0-second opportunity. The shot will be saved away as that ball hits. Yeah, as the ball hits ball hits the ground. We'll hit 0 seconds overtime in game number 1.
Yeah, Turnsey makes a crucial save there up against Soares, which stops this, which makes this game go into overtime here. And let's see what Eskimos can do here. They allowed Tempest to come back. This is practically their game to lose after having a lead. With only 1 minute and 15 left in the game, and Stacked, he's going to give his team the win here.
Yeah, this is just a nice little play. Turnsey cuts off that touch before the actual challenge can get to it, and Stacked, I mean, he's got the whole net to aim at. He places it into the far corner. A great shot for the Eskimos. They take game number 1, and as you said, it was their game to lose. If they had not won this game, it would have kind of felt like it was robbed from them, but that would have been on account of their own mistakes. But they do play out that early kickoff well, and pretty much off that momentum, get that goal.
Yes, exactly. They play it off well, and they pass it to each other very well. They get in the zone. They don't get it cleared out. They find an opening, and they score. And that's very important. They mitigate their mistakes. Yes, they made a few in the end there, but they were able to pull through because of that big lead, the 2-goal lead that they had early on in the match. What will Game 2 have in store for us?
Yeah, Game 2 is going to be a bit interesting here because, of course, both teams did make a few mistakes there. Nothing too major, but again, for the Eskimos, that third man rotation is going to be so important because they do seem to be a little bit prone to, stacking up in the net and trying to really just find those clears, and they're doing very well. But if there's one cog that's just a little bit off in that rotation, it's going to really show. And that's how the Tempest managed to get themselves their 2 goals. As for the Tempest, I mean, that last minute or so looked great from them. Like that's the offense we wanted to see the whole game. It's just unfortunate they couldn't bring that for the rest of the time.
Well, the 18 seconds that were left, right? They just didn't put it into the net during the overtime. They made one mistake, which is acceptable, right? You can make 1 or 2 mistakes while having a 2-goal lead, but they didn't have a 2-goal lead. The game was tied, right? And they allowed those 2 goals in the first place. So some developments here. Eskimos with a 1-0 series lead, and they'll try and extend it. Meanwhile, Tempest here are going to try and tie it. And game number 2 is underway. What have you liked so far about these two teams?
I mean, I think the defense for the Eskimos has, despite the fact that, you know, there were 2 pretty glaring kind of errors in their play there towards the end, I still think it has been, in general, very solid. You know, they've been doing a good job of playing, just getting the saves, finding the clears, and trying to get it to space. And we even saw there, they transition it, they're looking for the passes. So they're starting to take that defense and move it into other parts of their play, which is really good to see. For the Tempest, I mean, again, their offense did look good when they were just being fast, when they were just getting to their touches. They were looking for those mistakes from the third man, looking for the slight misrotations. You know, maybe he was a little bit behind where he needs to be. Maybe he's too far forward, and just finding those little opportunities and placing the ball where you need to. And that seems to be the key here for their offense. On the defensive end, though, there's still a few things that need to be cleaned up, but that does just come down to communication for them.
And I do like what I see here. I see both teams doing decently well, especially in the midfield. Both teams, when they have midfield possession, they often bring it into the offensive zone. Not many teams can do that. Not many teams can say that. Blaze trying for the double tap there. Not going to work out in his favor. Turnsey has been turning a few cars around there, and that allows Zizos to take that pass from Stacked. And all 3 players here making some damage as Turnsey messes up Dragon Balls, and then he goes into the net to fly around as a little fly once again, and neither of the 2 players who double commit for that ball can make the save.
Yeah, it was just a nice little distraction play. It makes sure that the defenders have to keep track of where you are. They can't just focus directly on the challenge, and that allows that bounce shot to go in, because they're worrying about so many other things as Turnsey just gonna find a nice little chip over every single player who's stacked in that net.
Oh yeah, Stacked. Passing it down, Turnsey with a bad angle. Over Tobes, who gets bumped, and over Dragon, who over Tobes, my bad. I just said Tobes, he's the one who got hit. Blaze, my bad, who got absolutely, was in no man's land. And once again, it's a 2-0 lead for the Eskimos, and make that 3-0.
Yeah, and this has been a series of just bad touches here on the defensive end. I think Tobes expected that touch to come through, but even then wasn't setting himself up with a good angle for the challenge. Doesn't get a good touch. Stack comes in and cleans it up, and they have 2 players still rotating back off of that kickoff. So for the Tempest here, again, the defense looking like a fairly big issue, just not being aggressive enough with their challenges. And they sometimes have 2 players in net that are just sitting there waiting for a shot to come, and they're not really setting themselves up in a good enough position where they can afford to do that.
They're being too passive is what you're trying to say, I guess, right? Like,
yeah,
they're not really going up aggressive against these plays, and they're just letting themselves getting doormatted by these guys, if you will. That's a good chance for Blaze, but once again, he puts it off the post, and that's just one of the other. Oh wow, what a save there by Turnsey. That's gonna leave a wide open net. Can it be put in? No, it can't. And Stack can't get there in time. But that's been a problem for Tempest. They just could not get shots on net properly. That was their first proper shot on net. That could have been stopped.
Oh, and that's again another. It's not a mistouch right there. Dragon Balls need to get the save, but just not the touch that you want. It's not far enough to the side. It doesn't get it out of the way of the offensive players who are moving forward. And the Eskimos right now, I mean, their shooting is looking pretty dang good. They've taken 5 shots and they've sunk 4 of them away. Their accuracy is certainly not lacking tonight.
Definitely not. And listen, they are really steamrolling right now up against this Tempest team. And Tempest, they just need to find their defense here, because yes, they're strong in the midfield and the offense when they do find the offensive pressure, but they need to get it on net. They need to be able to keep in the offensive zone, get it out of the defensive zone, though. Being able to challenge the ball like they do in the offensive zone, defensive zone is just as important, in my opinion.
Absolutely is. 1 minute and 36 seconds left on this clock. It's a 4-goal lead for the Eskimos. And, you know, we saw them kind of falter in game 1 when they were in a similar position, but it doesn't feel like they're slowing down at all in this game. It's a nice bump onto the last defender. Tobes will put it through, and that aggressive play is what you need to see from the Tempest. Going for the bumps, going for the demos, just getting in the way of the Eskimos' rotation.
Definitely, and that's what they need to do all game long. I said it at the beginning of the match, they need to play every single minute of this game. And honestly, Tempest have only been playing the last 2 minutes of both games so far. And so, fully deservingly, in my opinion, the Eskimos won game 1, and then are on the verge of winning game 2 here. Although it is plausible for this Tempest team to come down from 4-0 down with the minute 30 seconds left to go here. They have 3 goals to find. Make that 4 in a minute.
Yeah, this is a bit of a strange series. I mean, it's a great touch from Zizas, gets it downfield, but I'm not sure what Tobes expected. Because even if that touch came through there from Turnsey, it wasn't going on net. But just expects that touch to come through, doesn't expect it to go past him, can't get the read, and now a 4-goal lead again with less than a minute left. It just feels like a little bit too much. And while the Tempest got away with playing a lackluster first, 3 minutes of game 1, they have absolutely not been allowed to do the same here. It was 4 goals with about a minute and a half left. It just feels like the Eskimos just saw that and they're like, we can take advantage of this. We just play out that same first half and we are absolutely fine, because I think they realized it was their own defense let them down. Blaze, though, finds a great dunk and will get a goal back here for the Tempest.
Now, we're not saying that Tempest are playing bad, right? Tempest are just not playing to the level of the Eskimos right now. Their defense isn't as strong as that of the Eskimos, and I think that was a point that they talked to each other in between game 1 and 2. When you get those matches and you lose or almost lose to a team that you were sure you could have absolutely destroyed, right? Mm-hmm. And now you get to reface up against that team, right, and prove yourself right. And that's exactly what the Eskimos did here. They absolutely just told themselves, hey, listen, I know that we can score against these guys. We just need to get the openings. They had their first 4 goals off their first 5 shots. And that just killed absolutely everything that Tempest could have done to come back in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Eskimos they took advantage of every single mistake that there was. It was a weak touch. All right, they're there. There were 2 players in net when there should have been one challenging. All right, there's going to be a bounce shot over both of them. Just every mistake they saw, and they're like, oh yeah, we can put this on net. And it absolutely worked. I think the Tempest, there has been a little bit of miscommunication there on the defensive end. You've seen defensive touches that you need to be a lot stronger than they are. And because they're not getting them, the Eskimos come through, and honestly, they are playing a really good series. Like, aside from that last minute of game 1, they have played almost flawlessly up to their opponents.
All right, our game number 3 is going to be underway here. And let's see who comes out on top. The Eskimos currently a 2-0 series lead. Tempest just haven't seemed like in their, sorry for the pun, in their own element here. And they really need to turn it up.
Cat trying to swim in water. That's what they are.
Out of their own element, but doing their best to survive.
Yeah. They are. You can see there's a lot of very good plays that are going on. There's a lot of potential that we're seeing. Like we've mentioned, their offense, when they do get aggressive, when they are able to push up, it looks great. They get bumps, they find the mistakes in the defense, they work the ball around, and they find a shot. However, I think just as a team, the Eskimos have absolutely been outperforming them in these first 2 games. So we'll have to see if the Eskimos can keep it up. Maybe they get a little bit lackluster here, lackadaisical in this 3rd game, but it's still going to be a hard game for the Tempest, and they need to do it 3 more times. That's a double commit they can't afford, but the save comes through. Follow-up shot from Stacked is just off, and the Eskimos aren't going to score just yet. Stacked barely misses that. Didn't have enough boost. And somehow the Tempest come out unscathed.
Blaze, he puts it up in the air. That's going to go for Tobes, but Tobes can't get it because stacked intercepts, and that's been something that the Eskimos have been doing so well in the defensive zone, intercepting passes. I love it when a team's defense can intercept passes like that and stop team plays from happening, right? You intercept a pass, instantly you screw up an entire team play. And it forces a team either to retreat or to go for a solo play, which can be red, right? So either way, it's a win-win situation pretty much for the team that intercepts a pass like that. You see, the ball either gets cleared out and you need to retreat, or just need to regroup and do a solo play to try and keep the ball alive in the zone. And well, that's exactly what both teams want to do right now, and that's what both teams have been doing so far in this game number 3.
Oh, Dragon Balls can't get the shot through. Just barely saved away. 3 minutes, no goals have come through for either side, and I think the biggest difference has been that positioning. You know, whether it be on the defensive or offensive end, just it's setting yourself up to have an easier time for both these teams. And the Eskimos, we've seen them time and time again be able to do that. They cheat forward when they know that they can, and they are allowing, and they're pretty much they're saying is, listen, I know I can retreat back from this position if the 50-50 doesn't go our way, but if it does, I'm putting myself in a spot where I will pretty much get a guaranteed goal. And they have been consistently doing that. However, the Tempest, this is finally where they look good. They're getting on the offense. They're finding multiple touches. But still no goal is going to come through just yet. 2 players up, 2 players miss! Where's the third man?
How is that not punished? That is an intensely bad mistake made by the Eskimos, but it's not punished, it's not capitalized on, and they'll be kicking themselves for not being in position. Neither team were in position whatsoever, and now it's, oh my goodness, it's Tempest's turn to not be in position. Blaze coming back down though. After missing that ball originally when going up in the air, he was able to hit that ball out, and that is a good recovery there. Blaze gets demoed by Turnsey. That leaves the net practically wide open for a little bit as Blaze, he's gonna miss that one. And the pass back to himself, Stacked, he can't find his own rebound. Oh, the 2 shots from Stacked were so close, yet so far, and you hate to see it.
This has been a game of throws so far. Every single opportunity feels like it has been somehow messed up, and of course there's an immense amount of pressure here. You're on stream. Both these teams, if they win this game, it is huge for them, but just no mistakes punished. We're still tied up 0-0. Somehow every single shot has hit 2 more times before finding its way out. There's a minute left.
There's a minute left, and within these 4 minutes, do you think any of the 2 teams right now have an advantage? Because both teams have had their chances, right? Just like that one. That one was close, and here's another one coming here, but Tobes is going to be able to make the save. Has anyone got an advantage?
It's wide. No!
It's off the post once again. That is not advantage taken care of. And you're out of breath over there because, well, there are so many misses that are not being taken advantage of, and they absolutely need to. That's an amazing bump! That's a pass!
Oh, thank God!
Oh, what a play there by Dragon Balls! Oh, goodness, look at this. He goes up instead of the ball that leaves the net wide open, and turns it comes in time. But that was going in regardless, I think.
Yeah, I think he barely managed to squeeze it through, but finally Dragon Balls makes the play. So many open nets for the Eskimos that they threw away. And that was by no fault other than their own. The nerves were there and they just couldn't find the shot. And now they're playing from behind. They need to find a goal that should be an open net. And somehow they tied it up. What is this game?
Oh yeah, this is quite intense. Zizos gets it by 1, gets it by 2. Dragon Balls can't get to it. And it's insanely high up in the air. And they just get it, and job done. The game is tied. Both teams finally capitalizing on 1 mistake from each team. But what else can they do now? Oh my goodness.
No! Yeah, just give that away.
Tobes, he gets it up in the air. Zizos misses. Turnsey misses. And Dragon Ball gets a good hit. It's a good angle. What a shot indeed, but that shot doesn't come through without...
Yeah.
misses, right? And now 6 seconds left. They have it all to do again. Can they find another goal? They only have one opportunity, and they let that one touch the floor. They risked it, and they just lost control of it. And Tobes and his team just absolutely get it done.
That was certainly something. And I didn't mean to take away from Dragon Ball's read, because he did have an amazing read off that backboard touch, gets it through. But the Eskimos, I mean, you gotta say, they just shot themselves in the foot that game.
Oh, definitely. They made 2 costly mistakes at the end there, and they just got themselves up to par, and they absolutely just they let it go. They let it slip between their fingers. They somehow brought it back, but they just lost it.
Yeah, and you know, of course there is a little bit of nerves that goes into, you know, playing for the sweep. It happens no matter how high rank you are, but the Eskimos there, they were given chance after chance. They couldn't find the open nets, and then it gets turned around. The Tempest, they cleaned up their final 30 seconds of play, and unfortunately the Eskimos weren't able to get it together in time. We have game number 4. The Tempest gonna see if they can pull off a reverse sweep here. And you know what? If each game is that scrappy from the Eskimos, they might have a chance.
Oh, they'll definitely have a chance, but that's I just feel like that wasn't the Eskimos' game there. They played, but they just couldn't capitalize like they normally could before. That's a backflip, and that's gonna allow that one to go in instantly. Oh my goodness, and mistakes coming out of Eskimos right now, and it's costing them so much. Look at this backflip from Zizos, and instead of the fast aerial, it's the fast goal for this Tempest team.
Yeah, and the positioning, which was the strength for the Eskimos here. They were playing their positioning so well. They're still having trouble here with the third man cheating forward. You know, in game 1, it was what almost cost them that game. You know, and game 2, it seemed like they had figured it all out. Game 3, that was just, I don't know what happened in that game. But again, that third man is very far forward because they already have Turnsey at the midfield as well. Zizos will find a shot. That's a double commit for a touch that didn't go the way of the Tempest. And it will be all tied up.
And it's all tied up, Zizos, because of that double commit right into Zizos' hood there. And, well, no one there to be able to make the save.
Defensive mistakes abound for both teams. And, I mean, it's really just going to depend on whichever team manages to gather themselves together, kind of regroup, and reset their play style, because right now the Tempests, they're absolutely taking advantage of the confusion on the defensive end here for the Eskimos, but you can't let that, they can't let that slip into their own play where it does start to get sloppy like we saw there with that double commit. And as for the Eskimos,
that's another bad double commit, and Tobes sends his teammate to Narnia Blaze, absolutely getting sent with a letter and a stamp there to another postcode. But it's fine, not capitalized on, and they breathe a sigh of relief.
As this has just been the first minute and a half of this game 4. Tied up 1-1, each team has scored. And, you know, for the Eskimos here, we do want to see that game 2 form. You want to see that composure with the rotation, with their touches, finding these strong clears. It just feels like right now they're a little bit out of sorts. That's an open net. Blaze is going to slot it through. And just an unfortunate 50-50 there from Zizos.
How did Blaze... Oh, I thought Blaze was the one who got demoed. It went off the post, but Blaze is still alive. How did Blaze not get demoed there? That looked entirely like that would be Blaze getting demoed. Instead, he demos the car that's beside him and gets the ball in. And that leads to a third goal here off of the kickoff. Turnsey can't control this ball properly. Blaze gets absolutely, he gets some knockback 2 on that car and sends his opponent to the net. The net's wide open.
And again, for the Eskimos here, what they were doing so well was cheating up on those passes, finding the touches, cutting off the offensive plays and finding their clears, and that just is seems to be non-existent so far in this game, and the Tempest, I mean, they're absolutely having a field day because there's so many misses.
The mistakes. Eskimos are playing like they would in game number 1 with stream jitters. I know the third game is the hardest to win, but they've absolutely just, I don't know how else to say it, but crapped the bed right now. That's what they're doing. They are absolutely just missing shots, missing passes that they weren't missing in the first 3 games. Right? I said that they needed to play 15 minutes or more. Right now, they haven't been playing since the last minute of game 3. They've been nowhere to be found, and they just make mistake after mistake so far. They need to get back on that train, because right now that train has stopped, and it won't get off of that, and it won't let off of that forced brake pedal.
Yeah, someone pulled the rope, someone got the emergency brakes going for the Eskimos, and they have not been able to fix their issues. It's still 2 minutes left to play through in this game. It's started to slow down a little bit. We've seen a bit more passive play, but the Tempest, now they're in a situation where they're perfectly fine playing this out passively. They don't have to worry about anything. A double tap for Blaze! They are having the time of their lives right now.
And Tempest are having a field day here. Blaze with his hat trick, 3 goals on 3 shots, and that's 5 goals on 7 shots for this Tempest team. Where's the defense gone from Eskimos? They went from hitting everything to hitting nothing but air.
I mean, I really don't know, because of course that game 3 was scrappy, but even then it wasn't terrible. They managed to get goals. They still managed to place a semblance of some Rocket League, but right now this is absolutely brutal.
Some optimists would say that they're throwing for the extra points, right? But right now they're on the verge of getting Braziled. If they don't find a goal here, and Tempest get another goal, they might just get Braziled here. And well, that's the last thing you want to see, especially for a team that was up 2-0 in the series. There's nothing more demoralizing than getting Brazil. It's 7-1, the impressively Brazilian score here, and 85 seconds to score another goal. Would you rather score on yourself, or if you can't find that goal before the end of time?
I mean, the Eskimos got to do something. They have to find something here. They have to find some sort of momentum, because right now what's happened is the Tempest, who they were having lackluster performances. It was, the defense seemed a little bit lazy. There were a lot of mistakes coming through. Suddenly, that's no longer an issue. They're playing perfectly fine. You can tell that they have energy in their play now, and Blaze is suddenly, it feels like he's absolutely smurfing on them. He has 4 goals, and it's just because he's been playing up to the pace that the Eskimos were pushing them to, and he's taken that a step further, while the Eskimos suddenly, as soon as there's a bit of resistance, are just completely crumbling.
Now, honestly, there's 45 seconds left to go here. There isn't a win on the cards right now for this Eskimos team. They need to get something going for game number 5, though, because if they're getting their butts handed to them like this in game number 5, how embarrassing is that? Not only do you get reverse swept, but you get reverse swept in absolutely dominant fashion, right? You were standing on top dominant, and now suddenly you're the one cowering down, right, at the feet of the one you were trying to beat up earlier. And it's 8-1 right now. Listen, they can't even get any momentum off of this right now. They are absolutely just getting their butts handed to them.
I mean, Blaze is just
on another planet right now. I agree.
It's just he is even when his teammates touch the ball, he is trying to stop the opponents before they get anything going. Well, Stacked will get a goal.
I mean, he stacks 2 shots on net. Dragon Balls tries to make a save, but Stacked reads that clear. And yeah, they just need to do that 6 more times to bring it to overtime. Do they have the time? I don't think so.
Well,
6 seconds.
If every single kickoff goes their way,
which it hasn't.
Yeah, which it hasn't. It's over. It could have, but it's nice to get a goal back. But even then, you're like, okay, that's a kickoff goal. Like those can happen even to the best teams. But, oh my god, the Tempest. Like, what a way to just finally step up your play when you need to. And for the Eskimos, I mean, it just fell apart.
Double hat trick for the Tempest there. They just cleaned up shop, and Eskimos, it's because of their mistakes. I'm not sure about you, but I just saw mistake after mistake by the Eskimos. I'm surprised they even got 4 shots on net this game.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that like stands out the most is there was just, you know, like the double backboard whiff. They have 2 players in position, and yet somehow they just don't get a touch. The goal that we see right there was, again, a player in position, but they just, for some reason, can't get the touch. And, you know, it is very possible that is jitters. You know, you have a bad game 3. You have an obvious, like, downgrade in the level of play that you were bringing. But that shouldn't be enough to completely shake up a team. And for the Eskimos here, you're headed into game 5. You just need to look at yourself. You need to say, hey, we need to get our crap together because this looks terrible right now.
Game number 5 is going to be underway here, and both teams right now are in do or die mode. And if you're the Eskimos, you need to find this first goal, right? Because Tempest have absolutely just, I'm going to say it, spanked you last game, and you just need to find something, anything right now to get them off of your tail.
Yeah, if you get the opening goal here, that is so nice for your momentum, and especially for the Eskimos, just saying, all right, listen, we've reset, we can find a goal, we are, you know, we're back to playing like normal. It's going to be such a good feeling. That double commit won't help them out, but they will still manage to keep this onto the offensive end before the clear comes through. A demo comes through. Blaze tries to get the bump, does find it. The save won't be found. And this one's just going to slowly float its way into the Eskimos' net.
How do you not get this save? This slow floater in the air. Zizos doesn't even hit the ball there. And, oh my goodness, it's just another mistake. 4:20 left on the clock here, and Eskimos, they can't fall apart now. They can't. If they fall apart now, if they make more mistakes from here on out, it's over. I will say it is over. And the Eskimos just need to find something, anything.
That shot at all. Yeah, and we just saw there Zizos just eyed that shot, had the net to shoot at. And that's, you know, a touch that in game 2 we might have just said, oh yeah, that they're going to put that on target every time. But it seems like that consistency isn't there anymore. And, you know, for the Eskimos, this is a situation absolutely where they need to find a goal. If they get scored on, if it's 2-0, then they are going to be in such a bad spot. Both, you know, it's a 2-goal deficit and also just mentally in this game. We'll have to see if they can do it. They have plenty of time to play for, and you know this is where I wouldn't mind trying to bring back that passive play style, but you gotta challenge the ball at the midfield.
Yeah, definitely. Where are the players here? Well, double commit there, and he just turns, it seems, to Tempest's side and makes it a 4 against 2 and passes it right to Dragon Balls. Heck, Rocket League should give him the assist for that one, because without him there, that goal never comes in. It's 2-0, and Eskimos are hanging on by a thread. And yeah, listen, both teams right now are doing their best to try and find a bigger lead. Turnsey passing it down here. Stacked is gonna find it after Blaze misses it. Dragon Balls, he puts it in by accident here. I don't know what kind of physics that is. It is the Unreal Engine after all.
Yeah, that was.
It's 2-1.
Yeah, they get a goal back, which is nice. They're not completely out of it, but that was also a bit of a defensive breakdown for the Tempests. And, you know, it is about time that, you know, they do make a, you know, maybe one mistake. They were playing a fairly flawless game up until that point. But a mistouch comes through, and then they have to scramble back from there. So a good job to get that ball towards the net enough that it does cause the defense to panic. We'll have to just see if the Eskimos can keep themselves in it mentally now. Just keep their gameplay up to par. That's 2 players committed. The third one will get back, though. 2 players committed. Turnsey, see what he can do. Demo attempted. Air dribble. Turnsey, just a weak touch. Didn't have it under control. Couldn't find the bump on net, and it gave time for the Tempest to get back.
Yeah, and right now, listen, Eskimos, they just, like I said earlier, they just need to play perfect. Meanwhile, to be able to find a goal and not let another one in. That could have been a goal very easily had that been on net. And listen, they need to keep one man back at all times. They absolutely just need to find consistency in their rotations, not double commit. Because double commits is what has been causing these goals so far for both teams. That's a miss. Oh, Dragon Ball going for that double tap. That's going to be missed, though, and it's going to go wide. Stack puts it in the zone, but Zizos doesn't go for it. He goes for the man, and he misses both players, and that's going to be very costly.
And Turnsy also just shied away from trying to take possession there. This should be an open shot on net. Blaze will find the save. But finally, the Eskimos here, this is their chance to really see if they can step forward. Turnsy, a good touch on the sidewall, and a minute 30 seconds now has just passed. Still a 1-goal deficit here for the Eskimos, who again, they're fighting off a reverse sweep here for the Tempest. If they keep this 2-1 lead, if they just play passively and they make this lead last, that was a bit sketchy, they secured themselves a reverse sweep in quite a dominating way. From, if you look at their performance from games 1 and 2 to now games 4 and 5, that's an open net. Blaze can't find the shot. No one up to challenge it, but Dragon Ball's shot is going to be wide as well. And still the Eskimos have some hope here in this game 5.
Yeah, because that you need to get that one in. You're only up by 1 goal here. You need that cushion. And that goal was very crucial. It's going to come down here. It's going to be blocked once again. And listen, Eskimos have every bit of a chance to get a goal here, because if Tempest make a mistake, then the game is tied, right? And so they need to find that goal. They need to find it right here, right now, within the next 30 seconds to bring it to overtime. And honestly, how embarrassing would it be to lose game 3 in such a tight manner because of silly little mistakes in the last 15 seconds, right? And then lose game 4 absolutely dominantly, and then game number 5 here, they weren't outplayed whatsoever, but they were just not the better team. And Tempest, 2 goals, 7 seconds left. I think that's the dagger.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it. As you know, the Eskimos, they did make some recovery there. It looked like a better game 5. They had made some adjustments, but they had given away so much momentum, so much confidence to the Tempest. The Tempest drop it on the floor. A 3-2 reverse sweep from this squad after possibly one of the scrappiest and most, craziest game 3s we've ever seen. They somehow managed to come out on top from that. And if you just look at performance-wise, they deserved that at the end of the series. They were playing like the better team.
They were playing like the better team, and at the end of the day, the better team wins the game. Now, I did say earlier that if you don't show up, right, you need to show up for the entirety of the game, and I would say both teams, neither of them didn't show up fully to this game, right? Tempest just weren't there in the first 2 games, and the Eskimos just weren't there in the last 3. So, in the last 2, I should say. So, honestly, the only game where I felt like both teams were there was really game 3, even game 1 to a certain extent. Felt a lot like game 5, but the roles were reversed, right? Eskimos were the better team in that one. Meanwhile, in this one, it was the Tempest that were overall just better.
Yeah, they absolutely just stepped it up when they needed to, and the Eskimos, unfortunately, fell apart. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are going to be going to a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be having the desk for our next match. It's going to be the AA, the Mustangs, and the Lynx, both the 3-0 undefeated teams facing off. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back after this short break.
And Happy, off to you.
Thank you very much, Quantum and Titan. What a way to bring it back by